Hey guys, it's Marni from the Ask Women podcast. Buying a car is a not so fun experience for most people, and it doesn't have to be. At TrueCar.com, they'll help you get rid of the fear that you may overpay. You know when you'll get a fair price because they show you what others paid for the car you're looking for. TrueCar.com analyzes what people are paying for their cars in their market and shares it with consumers so that they never have to overpay. Over 40,000 cars were sold by TrueCar certified dealers just last month. Users see an average savings of $3,046 off MSRP. TrueCar certified dealers go through a certification process, and you work directly with a TrueCar representative that will honor your savings. TrueCar certified dealers believe that truth and transparency are essentials to a better buying experience. First, go to TrueCar.com and find out what others pay for the same vehicle in your market and around the country. Second, register at TrueCar.com to see upfront pricing information and lock in your savings certificate. And the third step is simple. Just print out your certificate and take it to the TrueCar certified dealer for a better hassle-free buying experience. TrueCar has the most comprehensive new car pricing information available and a certified network of dealers that offers a hassle-free car buying experience and negotiation-free guaranteed savings. Support the Ask Women podcast and shop at TrueCar.com.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
PodcastOne.com presents the Ask Women podcast. A place where two comics and a professional wing girl get together to dissect the female mind.
You don't know how I feel.
And explain it to men in terms they can actually understand. Boobs. Now, here's the lovely ladies of Ask Women.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Women podcast where you get real advice straight from the source. I'm Kristen Carney, a comedian, host, actress, etc., etc.,
Model.
model, etc. And of course, we're here with Marni Kinrys, best-selling author and owner of the Wing Girl Method.
Yes, I want to add that in every single week. But I just realized our opening song still says two
female comics.
Female comedians. So does that mean I'm the female comedian?
No, it says two female comedians because I'm a schizophrenic.
Yes, exactly. There's
and
two
all
parts
of me are funny, apparently.
Well, I wanted to talk about something. Well, what were you going to say?
Well, no, I just wanted to say to shop for Amazon.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah. To keep the show on air, I just bought some glasses on our Amazon page.
Yes.
So we're going to be flying high with Joe.
Oh, for months. For sure.
Because they were $100 glasses.
Woohoo!
Yeah. So you guys, if you ever want to buy books,
commission.
Anything, go to winggirlmethod.com/Amazon.
No, don't buy books on there. Go buy TVs.
Yes,
go buy your lawnmower.
Unless it's a really expensive book.
Yes, exactly. A really, really expensive book. But yes,
Rembrandt would be good.
Exactly. No, go buy expensive shit on Amazon.
Let's not talk about the toothpaste, Rembrandt.
Right, exactly. We will earn, it's like literally like a penny on the dollar, whatever it is. But that penny is what helps us stay on the air.
You're like,
we ain't getting paid for this shit.
Yeah. And a few minutes into the show, not in the second half, but a few minutes into the show, we have ex-football player, TV personality, host Ross Tucker coming in. He used to play on the Buffalo Bills.
That's cool.
Amongst other teams that suck, like the Patriots, etc. So he will be here shortly, and he's going to tell us really good stories about being like a super cool football player.
Banging lots of chicks.
He's really tall and
I like it.
Yeah.
But I want to hear, okay, so the story that you were telling me, which I told you to shut up and stop sharing this information off air because I always think it's a waste for us to talk when you guys aren't listening. Yes, exactly. But tell me about what happened to you this weekend with your boyfriend and what made you really upset.
Well, first of all, I was drinking, which I don't normally do, so I was more emotional than normal. I was turning into like an actual woman. And we were having fun, and we were talking about like college and past people that we had kind of hooked up with, etc. I don't know why that's my word today. Drink every time you hear me say it. And so he was talking about this one girl who he's mentioned before. And him and I always talk about people's looks. We're like, oh, he's really hot, or she's, really hot, or she's got amazing boobs.
Right.
But this one girl in particular, she's now an actress. I don't know her name, but she's gorgeous. I mean, drop dead, striking gorgeous. And I already know this. This is information I've already gotten 2 years ago or something.
Right.
And I think he was really enjoying talking about her. And he kept going on and on and on about how pretty she was. And it's like, I get it. I've seen her. I get it. And so there was a point that he crossed over into making me, and I know you said in our last show that no one can make you feel anyway, but he did make me feel a little bit self-conscious and it made me feel not as pretty, or that I didn't compare to this girl. And I kept saying things hinting at him.
Well, what were your hints?
Tell me I'm beautiful, bitch. No, that wasn't one of my hints. No, I was just saying like, oh, she was really pretty. She's the prettiest girl you've ever been with. And I was being not flirtatious, but I was being playful with it. and he
And that was
wasn't
your
really
hint to get him to shut up? Because that was
that was my hint to get him to say that I'm pretty.
Ah, okay, gotcha.
And he's like, and then so basically when I brought it up, I was like, well, I'm really starting to feel pretty ugly here. He was like, I always tell you you're pretty. And then he just kind of like kept going on about her. And I said to him, I'm going to talk about this on my podcast because you're being an asshole.
Because you're screwing up as we speak.
Yeah.
And this would be good information
he really was
for men to hear.
up.
Well, what could he have done better? Because the thing is, again, like we talked about on the last episode, like nobody is responsible for your emotions. You're responsible for them. But in a partnership with women especially who are a little bit more sensitive, and even like if you went on about some guy's penis size for half an hour, I'm sure it wouldn't really boost up your boyfriend's ego. Right. But there are things that guys should learn that we can be super sensitive to. Yes, we're open to looking at another girl's ass, looking at her boob, saying she's hot. But when it does get into a space where you're sort of seeing past us and you get consumed with this other girl, that's when it's not the healthy spot for you to be talking about it with your girlfriend or with a girl you're dating. That's when you should be talking to your guy friends about it.
But I didn't also, in the situation, I think, as a girl, I didn't want to compare myself to her, but I mean the bottom line is this girl's gorgeous. I'm not as good looking as she is. There's no way in hell I'm even close. No, and it's like I wasn't really looking for that to say, for him
you're
to say,
as pretty as her.
Oh, you're just as pretty as she is, because I know I'm not.
Right.
But I wanted him to reassure me in certain ways, saying like, well, you're really, despite that she's, a model, like you're like looks are so my style, or I'm really into what
did it make you think like. Then? Did it make you think that he like wanted somebody prettier? Or did it make you like what was it doing to you at that point?
At that moment, it was more so making me feel not enough, pretty insecure, and making me really just kind of go, well, if that's what he had at the time, now he's probably thinking he's taking a step down. And so that is what kind of made me feel bad, was that I didn't want him to think, I was in college and I was hot and all these women wanted me, and now I'm with you. That's kind of how it made me feel.
So this is the girl that he had dated in the past.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. Yeah. Okay, so cool. So we have our guest walking in. I want to talk more about what Kristen was talking about, but we have Ross Tucker, but he's putting his headphones on. He's a very tall man. Very good looking.
It'd be like me saying, like, I went out with this guy in college. He was like 6'8", and he looked like Ross.
Exactly.
It would just make him
you went on and on and on about it. Yeah. You look a little bit like Dawson from Dawson's Creek.
Oh, you
no.
do?
Yes. Has nobody ever said that to you before?
More
from the
funny?
side.
I'm so lame and so girly, I guess, that I watched that every week while I was in college.
Yeah,
so I was in college from 97 to but
not on a podcast.
No, but here's the thing. I would actually I was into that song. Like, I don't want to wait.
Oh yeah,
everybody was. Yeah. What do you mean? That's not lame at all.
I was into that show, and my best friend just moved to Wilmington, North Carolina, which is where they used to film that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm going down there for his bachelor party next month. No.
I love that he knows the details of where it was filmed too. Like, it's not that you're just revealing that you watched it.
And I'm not that into like TV shows and stuff, but for some reason I was in that show. It got so bad by the end.
Horrible. I just rewatched it for the second time because I watch like stupid shows to go to sleep.
Right.
But they end up keeping me up later because I'm into them, even though they're stupid and cheesy. But yeah, I just watched the whole thing of Dawson's Creek all over again. It was horrible.
How many episodes is it?
I don't know, like 120 or something. And I finished it, and now I've like a 3 series deep on something else. But,
okay, hold on a second. I just want to summarize here. So even though 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you watched Dawson's Creek.
Yeah.
Over the last couple months, you rewatched
every episode.
But there's other good shows on now.
Yep.
You want to hear? There's only 3 shows my wife and I DVR. You want to hear them?
What?
You want to guess?
I don't know if I want to hear after this Dawson's Creek.
I know, seriously.
Issue here.
You ready?
Yeah.
Housewives of Orange County? Like
no.
What?
Modern Family.
Good one.
We really like Modern Family. Mm-hmm. My personal favorite is, but it's ending now. It's How I Met Your Mother.
I watched the second episode last night.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
You didn't?
I DVR'd it.
Okay, cool.
Don't tell me.
Have they ever found out how they met their mother,
yes,
by the way?
Yes, that's the whole thing.
I've never watched the show.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Okay.
And what's funny is, like 2 months ago, I was at a Starbucks in New York, and Doogie Howser, Neil Patrick Harris came in. And he had sunglasses on, but I recognized him right away.
Yeah, yeah.
And I didn't, I waited till he walked over to like get a straw or something. No, I hope he wasn't. And so I walked over and I said, big fan of the show, man. He said, thanks for what. He's awesome.
He should say which one. If I were him, I'd say, well, which one?
Right? But
it's like so many.
Isn't it amazing though I should have said that I was a big fan of Doogie Howser too.
Yes.
Because that was when I was like a teenager.
Oh, I love that show.
But isn't it amazing that as a homosexual man that he plays a womanizer so well?
Oh, so well.
And it's like Cam on Modern Family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cam's like a beer drinking, football playing guy that plays. And my buddy of mine met him one time, and he said he just harnesses his mother.
Yeah.
Really?
Cam, every time
Is he
says
Jewish?
anything,
Because totally, if you have like a Jewish mother, I feel like you could play gay so well. Like, I don't know,
That is
I'm
true.
Jewish. And
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the last show, just got into it probably a month ago, Goldberg's.
Oh, really?
Awesome.
Is it really?
So I was born in 79.
Yeah.
I just turned 35. So like the 80s, it's hilarious.
Right.
Really?
It's all stuff from
These
the
are
80s.
your 3 shows that you DVR.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You're
and
a
then no
deep,
other
you're
TV?
a deep man.
No, we have we have 2 daughters. One just turned 2, and the other one's 8 months.
Oh, so
Wow.
nice.
Tess and Helen. So
nice. So you're going to be perfect for this show because actually we were just talking before you got into here. So Kristen had a situation over the weekend with her boyfriend where they were out drinking, they were having fun, they were reminiscing and talking about their college days where they were like with other people. And so her boyfriend started
ended up in
that
a major
never goes
fight.
well.
Yeah,
Right.
no, never goes well. Exactly. So he started bringing up this one girl that he had dated in the past, and like Kristen knows that she's very pretty. This girl's beautiful. She's an actress, and he wouldn't stop talking about how pretty this girl was, and her anger grew and grew and grew and grew. I don't know if you ended up blowing up at him.
No, we
at
ended
the very
up
end.
having like a fun night, and I was drunk, and like I don't get super offended, but it was the amount that he was going on about it, where I was like, oh yeah, I know she's super pretty because she's an actress. I saw her pictures. You know, I go with it, and then it just kept going, and I was more like, all right, okay, stop.
We get it, she's
but
pretty.
he wasn't validating me at all through the conversation, so I started to feel kind of crummy, but I was also drinking. You know, I was
You know what's
like,
amazing?
totally emo.
I've never heard a guy use the word validate except for parking.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And my
the only time it should be used.
wife asks me to validate her feelings all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So now I do.
Good.
What does that mean then?
It's a good thing.
It's acknowledging how what I'm saying or doing makes her feel, even if I don't understand how it could possibly make her feel that way.
Right.
I've come to the conclusion that guys and girls are just so different. Like when she tells me her problems, I'm sure you guys talk about this all the time.
Yeah.
I always try to solve them. She doesn't want me to try to solve them. She just wants me to hear.
Yeah, it's like I don't need directions to the end of my life. Like, just please make me feel good now.
Right.
And our one daughter just had a birthday, and my uncle was there, and my wife, it's a long story, but she has a propane company. Their family business, there was a propane shortage, so she was very stressed out. My uncle was talking to her, and my uncle's like 50-something years old, and he said, so Kara, what's going on with the propane? She's like, well, there's a shortage in this. And my uncle, like, I couldn't tell if he was being serious or joking, but he was like, oh, man, Kara, that must be so tough on you.
He's learned.
And it's
You must listen to
unbelievable.
our show.
It's unbelievable.
He's the opposite of creepy uncle.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's so easy. But in terms of your boyfriend, you know, if you say it once, you're stating a fact. If you say it more than that, I don't think he's being very sensitive to how it would make you feel.
Right.
So what would have been the better thing for him to do?
I don't think there's really any value as a married man in ever pointing out that your ex was attractive. I can handle my wife talking about her exes a lot better than she can handle me talking about mine. I don't very often.
Yeah. But I found myself, what I wanted to do was pull out all my bullets. You know, like, oh, I dated this guy who was like super hot, and my boyfriend's not super short, but he's not tall. You know, and I wanted to talk like, oh, I dated this guy who was like 6'4", and you'd be like, oh, really 6'4", you know? So I started to and then it became a little bit of a funny banter, so I did play it off in a good way. But I just wanted to mention it because I thought this probably goes on occasionally, and couples obviously could, you know, it could go badly. So I just kind of wanted to bring it up for that.
It's just about being sensitive. And as you were saying before, validating her feelings, but more importantly, being sensitive to what it is that you're putting out there. And you're not sitting across, you know, from your friend having a beer talking about how hot a girl's ass is. You're sitting across from your significant other who you're hoping to have sex with later.
Right.
And this is not a good foreplay technique.
Right. And
this is his only technique.
And here's the thing. Whether you like it or not, when you talk about how attractive another woman is, especially someone that you dated, and I don't know if you went there, but I think somehow my wife gets to the point where she thinks about the fact that I had sex with that person.
Right.
Or was intimate with that person.
Right.
And then that just takes her off the deep end.
Yeah.
That thought of, because men and women don't look at sex the same way. For men, it's a physical act. For women, it's like this intimacy thing. And so...
Stereotypes.
It's like getting your
Stereotypes.
You're right. Well, so for...
Speaking of stereotypes, by the way.
Yes.
So I don't know if you... Do people even know who I am?
Well, we mentioned at the beginning.
Oh, yeah,
you're Ross
we
Tucker,
said it, but yes, we'll talk more about that in a second, because I wanted to ask you about... Wait, what? You're like making a note.
Well, all I was going to say is when I was a football player, like, all the guys listened to AC/DC.
Oh, because
yeah. So I just thought it was very cool that you're listening to ACD, that you have an ACDC shirt on.
A lot of black dudes listen to AC/DC?
No, it's more like the hardcore guys. White dudes, yeah.
The racist.
Well, I was going to ask you, because for your wife, so your background is you played sports. You were like a superstar in the world of athletes. You probably were with a lot of women. You're a very good-looking guy.
Thank you.
So for her, and even for you, like, how does that play into
You
your
lose all the women, though, when you tell them you played on the Buffalo Bills. I'm a huge Bills fan.
Oh, you are?
Yes, I'm from outside of Buffalo, and
so I played for 5 teams.
Yeah.
That's the one team where when people call into my radio show or I get tweets for the podcast, where they'll say, "Man, thank you so much for what you did in Buffalo." Because that was the one place where I really started several years.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one place where I really felt like it was my home.
Right.
And my wife loved. So we met senior year of college. I went to Princeton. She went to Bucknell. And then she worked on Wall Street in New York.
Oh, so you guys are like bottom rung human beings. I'm just kidding. Like high achievers.
But what's funny is we got married without ever living within 150 miles of each other.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, because she was in New York.
Go nearby.
I played Redskins. I played for the Redskins, Dallas Cowboys, Buffalo Bills.
Wow.
And she loved when I went from Dallas. Dallas cut me. I went to Buffalo because Buffalo Jills are rough. The Bills cheerleading squad.
Really?
It's a big drop off from the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Really?
So my wife, she didn't like it because
you're lucky if women in Buffalo like have stomachs that even like resemble a stomach.
Yeah, that wasn't even the issue to me as much as like there was a lot of hair and style that was still like 1986.
You would think that'd be in Dallas, though. I mean, they're like hairspray queens.
Yeah. And a lot of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders aren't as attractive as you would think they are.
They have a lot of makeup on.
A lot of makeup.
Yes.
A lot of makeup.
And I always sit in the nosebleed, so
here's
never
what's very
getting a close
interesting.
shot.
Here's what's very interesting. In high school, things with girls came very easily for me. You know,
Really?
I'm in middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, football player, you know.
Yeah.
Then I went to Princeton, and football players weren't like it wasn't like going to like USC or Penn State or something or Michigan. It wasn't like that great.
Right.
And what's so interesting to me about the dynamic of male and female is that at Princeton, it's a supply and demand thing. So there's literally maybe 5 really attractive girls in each class. Gosh, if they listen.
I thought you were saying in the whole school.
No, in each class. Okay. No, I mean like in the whole grade. Like freshman, there's 5.
Oh.
Sophomore, there's 5. And everybody knows who they are. So when you go out.
They're all smarty pants.
There's like 10 deep dudes surrounding them.
Right.
Like, hey, I'll take you out to dinner in New York. They all have money. Right. And I'm sitting there thinking, I dated 5 girls in high school my last 3 months that are better looking than you. I'm not waiting in line behind these dudes to pay for you to take you to New York City or Philly for a fancy dinner. Like, no way. Right. Like in high school, my go-to line was, "You're going to come back to my house and watch TV?" And that worked.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like at Princeton, I was like, "Do you want to come back to my house and watch TV?" I'm not going to hook up with you, Ross.
They're like, "I don't watch." No, they're like, "I don't watch TV. I only read books.
Right.
And I'm boring."
Here's what's crazy. You know, my confidence level decreased with females while I was in college because of the supply and demand there.
Right.
Then in the summer, it would kind of boost back up.
Because you go back home?
Yeah, go back home or like going to the beach or something, you know. But then when you get to the NFL, when you get out of college, the Princeton girls are like totally stunned because they think that they're like a hot item.
Right.
But then they move to New York City or Chicago or LA.
There's a million of them.
And they're like
they're
5s and 6s. But at when you're at school, they're what you got.
Right, exactly.
Whereas for the Princeton guys, you go to these cities and there's all kinds of girls. And at that point, when you're out of college, then they're intrigued by the guy that has a good degree and a good job and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
This was the example my economics teacher used for me when he was talking about supply and demand. He's like, when you go to Princeton and there's like no hot women, I was like, oh, yes, I understand.
He said that?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh. But here's the thing. So I met my wife senior year. My confidence level was low at that point. Not low, but lower relatively.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget, she liked me. She liked big guys. I was wearing Princeton football wind pants, and she wanted...
Ooh, wind pants.
Hot. Mm-hmm. I used to wear wind pants with button-downs because I was so big. Amazing. I was 310 pounds. A sweater or sweatshirt, I'd be sweating. But a T-shirt wasn't enough. Right. So a button-down was the exact appropriate amount
middle
of
ground.
For temperature purposes.
Yeah.
And I was just lazy, so I had on Princeton football warm-up pants. She wanted to go there. She didn't get accepted. Oh. I always tell her it's because she wasn't 6'4", 250 like I was, and I took her spot. So she liked big guys, and B, she liked the Princeton thing.
Right.
So I was I was in my mind, I kept saying, I literally consciously remember saying, play it cool, play it cool, play it cool. The next day, my buddy was like, she likes you. I was like, I don't know. She likes you. She'd come over. I would talk to her for a little bit and I'd be like, well, I'm going to go talk to my guys. I was totally trying to play cool. Then Sunday, when I leave, I stayed over at her place that night. Nothing major. And I leave. I say, I'm going to call you. She says, okay. And this sounds bad, but I had said that prior in my life and not meant it.
Right.
And so I said to her, I go, no, I am really going to call you. And she said, okay. I believe you.
Right.
So I get in the car. I'm driving back to college. I call my sister. She's 4 years older. I say, Bryn, when should I call her? And she says, wait until just when she thinks you're not going to call, and then call.
It's a good move.
Right. So here's the thing, though. So I didn't want to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday's the big party night at Princeton. Friday's the big party night for her. Saturday night's the big party night.
I thought you were going to say waiting one day.
No, I didn't call her till the next Sunday, a full week.
Oh, wow.
And she didn't think I was going to call. But then I did, and the rest, as they say, is history. So
exactly.
Here's what's weird, though. It was because we were living in different cities. We were not exclusive when we were first dating because we're 22 years old, and we had just met. When I made the Redskins as a rookie, we'd only ever seen each other 2 or 3 times.
Right.
So it seemed kind of silly, even though we knew we cared about each other, it seemed silly to totally commit when you're in different cities and you don't even really know the person that well. So we would still get together, but we weren't exclusive, but neither one of us was really doing anything. It was just kind of available.
Yeah.
So
you probably had lots of opportunities from
in
other
the NFL.
Women. Yes.
Right. So so my wife gets mad when I say this, but this is, ask women, when you're a guy, part of the dream is you think when you make the NFL that all you do is you play in the game on Sunday. All week there's awesome parties and every girl throws themselves at you. Right. That's part of the dream.
Isn't that what happens?
So here's the thing. It's May of my senior year of college. I'm about to go to the NFL. And I meet the girl of my dreams.
You're like,
I love her. It's unbelievable. Yeah. So now I say,
life is so
total
unfair.
Conflict, right?
Right.
So now I say, I've said she hates me.
And you didn't get to hook up enough in college because of the supply and demand issue.
Right. Well, I did, but just the standards were much lower.
Right.
Yeah.
Let it be known.
So she hates when I say this, but I say sometimes that I wish we had met a couple years later.
Yeah.
But that's a horrible thing to say about your favorite person in the world.
I've said that to my boyfriend a million times, except I usually say, I wish we never met at all. I'm just kidding.
I say that to my husband, too.
No, but isn't that bad?
No, it's
your favorite person in the world you wish. Shouldn't you say that you wish you met your favorite person in the world earlier?
No, I disagree.
You met really young.
No, I would say the same thing. I met my boyfriend when I was 25. I'm 30 now. And I was very, very conservative throughout high school into college, after college. And so right around 25, when I met my boyfriend, was kind of when I was getting confident and wanting to go out and experience things. And that's exactly when I had to stop. And I've told him over and over, I wouldn't have, because we have
You ruined me.
Yeah, I basically said I have resentment toward you because I didn't end up doing those fun things that I knew I was about to do. And so now I'm stuck in this zone of I don't really want to ruin this relationship to go out and do crazy things, but
the reason why we said we weren't going to be exclusive is I didn't want to be on a Saturday night at 2 a.m. hammered on a dance floor, and I kiss some girl, and I have no idea who she is. I'm not like hooking up with her. I just kiss her, and like the next day be like, I cheated on you. We got to break up. I'm a terrible person. Right. Like, so I thought I was showing some foresight and saying, this is not. I didn't think it would be healthy for us if we were exclusive at age 22 in different cities, really having met each other twice. Yeah, but it's tough.
We get a lot of questions.
It's still tough because you're still kind of together, no matter what.
Then I go to Dallas. Okay, to answer your question, when I was in Dallas, I mean, the Texas girls were different. And
sluttier?
Yeah, well, just mentally, their parents and that state has just totally warped their brain.
Really?
It's scary and amazing all at the same time.
Right.
So my best friend was a guy named Chad Hutchinson. He was a starting quarterback. So everybody in Dallas knows who the Cowboys starting quarterback is, right? This is the 2002 season, 2003.
Right.
He had a serious girlfriend in the area. So the three of us would go out. So you go out with the starting quarterback. He's got his hot girlfriend with him. And I'm with him, and I'm 315 pounds, so it's obvious I'm a player. They probably don't even know who I am, but they know he's a Cowboy because that's the quarterback.
Right.
There were literally times where a girl, like blonde girl, big boobs, whatever, would come up to me and say, my daddy would just love if I could hang out with a cowboy tonight.
Oh, my God.
Are you like?
They're like, my daddy would just love if I fucked a cowboy tonight. That's what they're saying.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there thinking to myself,
saddle up.
I have two daughters now, so that's like the craziest thing I've ever heard. Like my daddy would just let, but that's it. Like the only place I've ever been where I would leave a bar, like with Chad, and a girl would come up to me and hand me her number.
Did you like it?
No, I did not, because at that point, my wife and I had decided to be exclusive.
But so let's say, had you not decided to be exclusive, would you have liked that?
That's a very interesting question. And to tie it in, it's also why I'm so happy I met my wife before I played in the NFL. Yeah. Because once you get to the NFL, you really don't know if they're interested in you or their perception of the lifestyle.
It's obviously the perception if they're saying my daddy would love if I was with a cowboy. It's nothing to do with you.
But no one ever says my daddy would be happy if I was with a buffalo. Like no one. Or
a Buffalo Bill. Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Let's put that my daddy thing aside. Even if girls are interested in you, are they really interested in you, or do they know you're in the NFL?
They know you're in the NFL. That's all it is.
So, because if you look, like 95% of the NFL players have smoking hot wives. Smoking hot. And they're not all the smartest, greatest guys in the world. Like
nor are the women, I'm sure.
Right, and nor are they necessarily good-looking guys. But they all have, and my wife is smoking hot. But I think so, at least. I really think she's the best looking. So. Yeah, I mean, I hope everybody thinks that their wife is hot as I think my wife is.
Well, that's what I was saying about my boyfriend earlier. I know he thinks I'm pretty and stuff, but I was just waiting for him to say what you're saying currently about your wife.
Right. And my wife always thinks I'm just saying it. I'm like, no, I really think that you're you're the highest girl. Yeah. So, but my point is I'm very glad that I met her before the NFL because I know that wasn't her motivation. Her motivation. Whereas anybody after that,
though.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a little
and those K-way pants that they were wearing.
Yes, and I would. If I was just interested in hooking up with girls, then I probably would have liked that. The cowboy, here's my number, my daddy thing. But not if I was looking for somebody that, for something real. For something real.
Well, these other guys that are in the NFL, what do they ever talk about it? Like, are they sick of that? Like, do they want something? Not that they want a relationship, but do they get tired of being used? Because I would say
they don't look at it that way. I don't think that they intellectualize it enough to look at it that way how I did.
Well, because I think a lot of really beautiful women sort of have that issue as well. I would say you're, equal to a 10, point. Right? Where, a lot of beautiful women are just being approached simply because they're beautiful. And these men just think, oh, you're perfect. You have everything I want because
like they're in the
you're attractive.
NFL.
And they just see past everything else. Or they don't even look for anything else because they're very attractive, which it can intimidate them, but it makes them want these women. Same thing with men who are in the NFL.
Yeah, most of the guys, you got to keep, it's 22, 23, 24, 25.
Right. They're loving it.
Most of these guys are just loving it and just eating it up and tearing it up, and there's not a lot of discretion.
Right, and the thing is, the window will end at some point for, they
got a short career. Wrapping them in.
You have, 10, 15 years that you're going to play, so you got to get it in.
But what bothers me about it is the guys that are married and are still doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Because my whole thing, because those guys act like they're the man for doing that.
Right.
My whole thing is, look, I don't care if you want to go have sex with everybody in the world, but why get married and then do that?
Right.
And flaunt it, so that people can see, we got one guy, he's a bastion of the community, and he's got his girlfriend in the hotel the night before games while his wife and kids are at home.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
He's flaunting it.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like,
They're
you know
just
what?
bad humans.
And it's funny is they look at that. Those guys look at it like, look what I can do. I can get this 22-year-old chick still, even though I'm 31 at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm the man. To me, they look at that as a sign of strength. I look at it as a weakness.
Oh, it's a huge weakness.
Total weakness.
It's I don't know.
If you were a real man, you wouldn't have gotten married.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, I do have one question. So go back to your high school days, right?
Yeah.
So this is before NFL, you're playing football, so yes, no matter what, you're still going to have that, bump
before
up
you were
in
tall, essentially.
in your street cred.
Marni,
But
can we get to this question after the break?
Yes, of course we
Sure.
can. Perfect. We're going to have a little break right now.
Up.
Exactly. We're going to have a little break right now, but we will be back to have to answer this question and to continue with Analyze This.
All right, go ahead, pick it up.
Okay. So the question that I wanted to ask you was about, you when you were in high school. Did you always have this personality? You have a complete comfort level. I saw when you walked into the studio, even before you came into being here with us.
Right.
You just carry yourself really well. Did you always have that confidence level and comfort?
In my life or with women?
In your life and with women.
I've always been extremely confident, and I think the biggest reason for that's my mom.
Really?
My mom, and my wife says that she ruined me and that she's over the top, but my mom really made me believe that I was the greatest thing in the world. And I wasn't that cocky, but I was extremely confident as a result. And I've come to the conclusion, whether it's business or media or with women, I honestly think if I could bestow one trait on my daughters, it would be confidence. I think it's the single biggest determining factor in success.
Absolutely.
But people always say
I think it's the biggest determining factor sometimes in assholism, though. Is it ever getting extreme?
You know what? I think it's a fine line, and I think if you ask people from high school, I think a certain percentage would say he was arrogant.
Really?
And but those would be the people that I wasn't really close with.
Yeah.
So my close guy friends and girlfriends, my group
really knew you.
Right. They knew that most of the time I'm just joking around, but they did know that I was confident,
right.
And I could, I'm really fortunate, I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
My dad's 5'9", 170 pounds.
Oh, wow.
I'm walking the hallways at 6'4", 250. My parents both went to modest schools and got modest grades. My sister too.
Right.
I was school came easily for me.
Right.
I don't say that bragging. I say that
with a little humility.
Right. I say that, and I recognize that those are gifts that I've been given that I didn't earn. I've been given them.
Right.
Now, what I did with them in terms of being able to go to Prince or being able to go to the NFL, that I earned. So
right.
I took the gifts that I got from God, and that I earned. But I don't know. I think the combination of the confidence is, number one, my mom, and number two, athletics. The first thing we ever did in first grade, right, is dodgeball, right? And I could tell right away that I could take the ball and peg all the other kids in the head, and they'd get knocked over and they'd cry, and I was
that was
the man.
your
right.
moment of glory, whereas it was 90% everyone else's moment of hell.
Right. And I think, isn't it amazing how much of an impact I think that can have on your life?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You learn right then in first grade, second grade, who the mighty man is.
Oh,
I was the one that could pick up the ball, throw it harder than anybody else, and all the kids were scared of me, and it was fun. And that kind of frames
right.
how everything goes.
So you never
from
had a
there.
rough time.
It was all uphill from there.
Not really. However, there were times I went through puberty way late. So there were times where I wasn't as confident, and where I wouldn't say I was behind, but I was slightly above average in most of the categories, as opposed to way above average. So that was the times when it got a little bit, I got humbled a little bit. Like 10th grade, I put in the program 6'1", 180, and I was 6 foot 170 and did not play the first game. I was like, that had never happened to me before in my life. At any level, any sport, I had never not played in the game. I had never not started.
So say you weren't born with all those gifts and you were your dad's height and average weight, etc. What do you think you'd be doing right now?
Probably something in sports still, but I wouldn't have gone to Princeton. I wouldn't have gotten accepted because they wouldn't want me for football.
Right.
I would have either gone to maybe tried to play Division III athletics, or gone to like a Syracuse or a Duke and just played intramurals or whatever.
Right.
It's a good question. I'm glad I don't have to know that.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
So I'm like, essentially, if you were born my brother, I'm asking, you'd end up living in my parents' apartment. That's what you'd be doing. That's what my brother's doing.
Well, I wanted to get to some questions that we have from our listeners who write in questions.
Oh, awesome.
It's a segment called Analyze This, and hopefully you can help answer their questions.
Let's do it.
From a confident point of view.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question. At the end of December, I told a woman whose friend zone I was in that I didn't think we should be friends anymore since we weren't going to date and I wanted to just move on. I told her she should only get in touch with me if she was ever single and wanted to go out. She was dating someone at the time, someone that she didn't see herself with long term, but was having great sex with. I then started a bunch of new activities and hobbies, figuring that I'd either meet someone there or be a better person when my friend finally got in touch with me. The first couple of months without her was just fine, but the last couple of months I've been thinking about her often. Should I get back in touch with her, try to make amends, and at least be her friend so that if she ever breaks up with her boyfriend, I'll know about it and can try to date her then? Or should I just keep doing what I'm doing and try to forget about her? Many thanks, Travis.
Whew. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a move on guy.
Yes, I agree with you.
I'm a move on guy.
If you go back on your word, you told her get in touch with me when you want to be more than friends, or you want to be more, and you go back to her and
You're
try
soft.
and weasel your way into it.
You're soft.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never
What are you
work.
saying?
You would, even if you had a relationship, you'd be starting it from a position of weakness.
Yeah, where you're like, oh, well, I meant that until it got too hard for me.
And the reality is, if she really wanted to be with him, she already would
have contacted you. Exactly.
My wife had a boyfriend when I met her. This is very important for your listeners. Every really sought after girl has a boyfriend, but of some regard. But that doesn't mean they're not open to other things.
Right.
That they're not looking for better. That's the conclusion I've come to.
Right.
And let me make one more point I think is really important. 2 of my college teammates, one of whom was on The Real World, then he was Philip Kiriakis on Days of Our Lives for 3 years.
Wow.
He met his wife. I hung out with him last night. They have a 3-month-old on Match.com.
Really?
And he could go, and when he was here, he could go to any bar, and it was no problem.
Right.
But that was not. He did not want to hook up with girls. He wanted to meet. He wanted something real.
Right.
And he found his match on Match.
Right.
My other great friend, he's in finance. I mean, these guys are like. These are how you
Good
draw
guys.
the guy. Like 6'3", 225, chiseled, legitimately really nice guy, really good looking guy, really smart. Like
I hate him already.
my point is, because I know some girls that are my age, 34, 35, that are single, and they're starting to get really kind of worried, right? That they're missing.
Right.
And I say, if you're not on the online services, I don't even want to hear about it. If I was single, that's the first thing I would do. Why would you not?
Yeah, we've been talking about those a lot lately. Mm-hmm. People are really having success.
Well, they're great resources. They're absolutely great resources. But I would say for this guy who wrote in, so for Travis, I would say, honestly, forget about her. Keep doing what you're doing. Like, even where you said, I then started a bunch of new activities and hobbies, figuring that I'd either meet someone there or be a better person when my friend finally got in touch with me, which means you're still hoping that she is going to reach out to you. And as you were saying, like, she's not, if she hasn't reached out yet, she's not going to reach out.
And you have to do things for you, not to be better for someone.
And Travis, time is by far our most precious commodity.
Yeah.
Don't spend one more second on that girl.
My most
now, if she's telling you that her sex is great.
Right.
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Travis wants to date his friend that's telling him how great her sex is with another guy?
Right. Exactly. She's
Travis,
not into
come on,
you.
dude. Yeah,
exactly.
man. And I'm not being mean. I'm just saying,
no, you're
Travis,
being honest.
get on Match.com or something else.
Yeah.
Do something else. Move on.
Yeah.
She's not the one. You're going to find somebody else.
And if she, like, even what you were saying before with girls with boyfriends, like, I know that your wife had a boyfriend, but I'm guessing that she wasn't with you while she had her boyfriend?
She had he was abroad.
Oh, he was abroad.
So
okay,
they were dating,
that's different. They're younger too. But I would say most often,
that was your best one. Yeah,
thank you.
If somebody has a boyfriend already that they're either invested in or talking badly about to you, like, you don't want to get involved with that scenario, because then you're the rebound guy, or she's the girl who jumps from relationship to relationship to relationship. So I would say, listen, she's seeing somebody else, she's having great sex with him. Let her do her thing, and you go continue growing and finding hobbies and having fun and finding.
And I know we want to answer a lot of these questions, but I just want to throw this in there. The most humiliating point in my life was I was going to the University of Buffalo. I had been UB, huge football program there, and I was in love with this guy who was in a band that was semi-big. He played the bongos in the band.
Of course, you're bongos in the band,
right?
Who wouldn't want
this
guy?
He was so attractive with, like, the way he just banged the bongos. Yeah, it was amazing. So I had met him a couple times, and I knew he was too cool for me. So I told myself, I was like 19, I told myself, I'm going to learn how to play the bongos so he'll think I'm really cool. And I told him one day that I was learning to play the bongos, and he knew it was so false and so desperate that I was just trying so hard.
Right.
That was the moment I realized you do things for you. You'd never do anything for anyone else.
For anybody
that
else.
was so humiliating. He
Is
looked
this
at
person
me
still
like,
a successful musician?
yes.
Really?
Yeah.
He's the biggest bongo player in
I'll
the
say who it
United
is.
States.
It's Brian from Guster.
I was thinking, God, literally in my head, I was thinking, I bet it was Guster.
I was in love
He's
with
very
Brian
talented.
from Guster. He's amazing. Anyway, you should listen to him.
Wow.
Boston.
And you should listen to Kristen play the bongos.
No, don't.
Okay,
Anyway.
next question. I live in an apartment complex, and there's this gorgeous girl who lives near me. She's seriously the prettiest girl I've seen in my 28 years of existence. I never really got a chance to bump into her since it's been the winter and I live in Iowa. After a couple of weeks overthinking whether or not to leave a note on her car, I finally did. My note read, "Hey, my name is Luke. Can't seem to catch you around, but it would be great to get to know you. I hope this doesn't come off as creepy. Luke." Fast forward to 2 to 3 weeks later, she sent me a text. I asked if she knew who I was and told her I'm the guy who lives on the first floor. She would have to know who he was if she was texting him.
No, he put his number on the note.
Yeah, number on the note.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, right. Oh, see, you pick up on this. I was not following this. She said, "I thought so. We've been texting back and forth every other day or so, and I was in the best mood I've been in because this will lead up to us hanging out. The problem is I'm always the one initiating the texts. If I take a couple 3 days. If I take 3 days off and text her, she'll respond with, 'Hey, how are you? What's going on? Is she interested or not? Luke.'" So basically he's saying he's initiating with the texting, so if he doesn't put it out there, she won't respond back.
But didn't he just say at the end she'll send a message?
She won't initiate.
Have they not gotten together yet?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's where I was going to go with
understand.
this.
Make a
They keep
move.
texting each other?
Yeah, make a move.
Stop texting.
Yeah, nobody needs a pen pal.
In general, and maybe this is because I'm a little bit older now, I'm 35, but just do it.
So what should he do?
Life's too short. Set a time to get together.
Yeah.
Let's find out if she's interested or not.
Absolutely.
Life's too short. Every guy listening, just go for it.
Yeah.
What's the worst thing that can happen? It's either going to work out and it's great, or it's not. But at any
And you
rate,
kill yourself.
you can
It's
move
not so
on
bad.
and go to the next one.
Absolutely, instead
There's
of
no
wasting your time.
downside.
Well, it's funny. So did you like what he wrote? Did you like his little note?
I like the note. I like the note.
Well, she wrote back to it.
And I like the fact that he had the guts to do the note. And it's a good sign that she texted him.
Yeah.
She could have ripped it up.
Oh, absolutely. Never written him at all.
The fact that she texted him tells me she has interest.
Is enough validation
Right.
to then ask her out.
Right. That tells me she has interest. I don't know why he's waiting to ask her out.
Right. I don't know either.
And every time he texts her without asking her out, she's thinking he's more and more of a wimp.
Yep.
She's
Absolutely.
wondering what his deal is.
Yeah.
Good answer. Okay, so Luke, hopefully that answers your question. So just pull the trigger and do it already. And hopefully this question isn't from 8 months ago and you're not still texting with this girl. And you can actually take action and do something about it. Hi, Marni and Kristen and guest. Thank you for all the advice you give on image presentation and translation. One thing that ran through my mind on the way home last night when I tried to make a connection with a woman or tried to get her number or set up a first date, even with all of the good advice, it's just not working for me. I have had a few tough years. Oh, financial. Wait. We've read this one already before. Never mind. I'm going to skip over this one.
He's a poor bastard.
Yes, sorry.
Move on.
Yes. I can appreciate your guys' answer saying just... Oh, goddamn. Okay.
How often do you guys do this?
Every week, and I'm still screwing up. Okay.
No, this is... I'm going to listen to this.
Oh, good.
Really? Oh, good. I like it.
It's intriguing.
Look at this. Validation from you. I love it. Hey, girls, quick question. Recently asked someone out, and they said they would have to check their work schedule. The proposed date was passed without her getting back to me. Is this her trying to let me down softly? Well, it's not softly at all. It's very obvious. She said before that we should try to get together and seem very receptive, which is why I'm confused. Do I drop it? Do I ask again? When should you try again, and when should you let the ship sail? Thanks from Philbook. Oh, Tom Philbook. Sorry. I didn't see his first name. From Tom. Okay. So, when should you try again, and when should you let the ship sail? So, he asked her. She said, I have to check my work schedule, and then never got back to him.
It's a no.
Yeah.
That's a big no.
It's a no. She's not interested. If you want to confirm it, then go ahead and ask her out again.
Right.
What's the worst thing that can happen?
Absolutely.
Ask her out again, but I'm pretty sure she's not interested. You know what I can tell you, and this doesn't really help your guys, but I feel like most of the marriages I know, the girl was the aggressor.
Yeah. I had to ask my boyfriend, why have you not called me yet?
Girls know what they want. Like, my wife straight up, the first week when we met, like, she straight up, like, came after me.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? She's not like that at all.
Right.
But she knew what she wanted. And some of my best friends, same thing. A lot of times, the girl's the aggressor, which doesn't really help the guys that are listening to this, I guess, because there's not much they can do about that.
Well, men are confused because they don't know their role anymore. You know, they don't know if they're supposed to be the man and setting everything up and making all the initiations and asking for marriage and things like that. It's changing. So I think
if my wife hadn't made it so obvious that weekend, I don't know that I would have pursued it.
Yeah.
Really?
She went up to my best friend's twin sister and said, I love him. He's my dream guy. Knowing fully well that she would come up to me and tell me that. And so then I'm literally talking to myself in my head saying, play it cool, right. Don't blow this. But
the guys contribute as well. This is the thing. So if I were to hang out with a guy who took no action, no leadership, couldn't have a conversation with me, wasn't comfortable with himself, all the things that we talk about on our show, I wouldn't be the aggressor. Like, I wouldn't have a reason to want him. So it's also you contributing as well. Like, you being you and with the skill sets that you have combined with, okay, now I want him.
I think you have to be confident. Even if you're not going to be the aggressor, you have to at least be confident enough that she's enticed to be the aggressor herself.
Exactly. Well, that's what guys talk about. Like, I want girls to chase me. That's where the chasing part is. It's like that you can sit back and relax enough where you don't have to do the chasing. But I'm sure you were still putting stuff out there. You're still initiating conversation with her. You were still initiating hanging out with her. I'm sure you were putting something out there to make her feel that way about
you. You still have to play the game as much as, like, is that still the thing?
Yeah. I don't like calling it a game unless you look at it as like a fun game, because it is all fun. It should be entertaining. No,
Art and I are both. Art shaking his head. I'm shaking my head.
It is fun.
Not fun.
It is. All of it can be fun.
Yeah.
If you
so the game for me of, like, not calling her for a week and stuff. Like, to me now, I wouldn't do that.
Well, listen.
Now I would just
be like,
you were also
dating somebody who was 19, 20, really young. That stuff works back then. Now that would not work. Calling a week and a half later wouldn't work as well with women who are in their late 20s and 30s.
When do you have to call now?
Well, it depends. In the late 20s or 30s, you call maybe 3 days later, but you can't completely forget about them for.
But you can't call the next day.
You can call. You can actually call the minute after you see them if you want to. But if you do it with confidence and you own it, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. when you're younger, it doesn't work as well. There are a little bit more games being played. I don't like calling it games though, because I hate calling it games because that sounds manipulative and like you're doing it with the wrong intentions.
I would like to think that the older you get, the less you have to play the game.
Yeah. Well, that's what women want. They don't want as many games when you're older, but they still want a man. They want leadership. They want a guy who knows himself, the guy who's comfortable in his own skin, and the man who can take the lead. Yes, and interesting and intriguing.
I think the intrigue sometimes comes with the game, and that's why I think they're still played.
We should talk about the game part when I feel a little bit better one day, so my brain works better. But because I think that's a really good topic, because like I'd like people to have a different outlook on what the game actually means, and because if they see the game as like something that's a game that is against them, not like you going in at 6'4" and playing like rocking the game. Like I don't want them to think that okay, I have no tools for this game and I'm horrible at this game, so I'm going to lose. So why would I ever play? I want to teach guys how to be more positive about this game scenario. But that is all the time that we have for this week and for the Analyze This question.
Are you guys going to have me on again?
Yeah, yes, of course.
I want to come on again.
Good.
Are you going to be? Are you a part of the podcast one team?
I am, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yes, of
Ross Tucker Football Podcast.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Everybody listening, just download it right now as we said that.
Well, I was going to say, how do they hear more about you? How do they listen to your podcast?
They can follow me on Twitter at Ross Tucker NFL on Twitter, and then I do 3 podcasts a week in the off season, 5 a week during the season, all NFL stuff. But really, I mean, if you're into football, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast is the place to be.
That's awesome.
And I get into other topics too.
Nice. Oh, a little tribute for you.
He's good.
I love it. You're on it. I love it.
Oh man,
he must like you because
I feel like I can't believe I just admitted that publicly.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on our show. If anybody wants to ask questions, write into ask@askwomenpodcast.com and download new episodes of our show every Thursday, or subscribe so they download automatically. And please, 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 please support us on Amazon so that we can stay on the air. Go to winggirlmethod.com/Amazon and buy lots of big items, cars, televisions. I don't even know what else you can buy on there, but like a boat. You can buy boats on there. Brides, exactly. Go do it. But continue to listen to our show, and we will see you next week.